Hi, this is Tara with Tara's Tips, Terrific Ink, Paper, and Stamps. And today we're going to be learning how to make this card. It is uses the Greenhouse Garden Bundle, the Garden Greenhouse Bundle, and it is a bridge fold card. So let's get started. Okay, so I wanted to show you some other cards that I have done with the Garden Greenhouse Bundle besides this bridge fold card. This is a card that I've done, and I've posted a video on how to do this card, so if you want to see how to do that one, check it out. And I decorated the envelope. Here's one that just uses the stamps, and that's the inside. This one uses the New Horizons designer paper, and that's the inside. And this is one that I got in a card swap from Carol Slack. I like how she did that. Okay, so we're gonna get started here. We're gonna bring in our scoreboard, and we are gonna start with an 8 by 4 1/4 piece of basic gray cardstock. And we are gonna score that at 1 1/4. And I am going to flip it over because I like my score lines to be going the right direction. This will be 2 1/2. Rotate it 180 degrees, do the 2 1/2 again. Flip it over and do the 1 1/4. So you've got your score lines there. Okay. And then I've cut, this is the In Good Taste designer paper. And here are some of the prints of that. Let's see if I can flip through for you. Has nice neutral to masculine things to make for cards. And that came out of that pack. And it's got gray on the other side. So we are going to glue those pieces down first. Taking my fine tip glue that I have the Tombow glue in because that's how I like it. And I'm going to turn this so I can see it a little better. And there's that. And I have a piece of 2 3/4 by 4. It's from the Simply Marbleous. It's the Sale, a-bration paper that you can earn for free if you spend $50 right now, now through the end of February. I love this paper. It's just gonna be my sky. And then this is 1 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of basic gray, and this is 1 inch by 5 1/4 of the designer paper. And we're just going to fold this and then fold it back like this. Fold that in, fold that back. And then we're going to lay this open and keep this closed when we put this on. And you could put this bridge middle part anywhere you want on the card, depending on what you're doing. If you wanted just a sentiment with some flowers sticking up or something going across, you could have it in the middle. You could have it towards the top and have something dangling down. But for my card, I wanted it on the bottom. So I'm just kind of putting it there, kind of put my finger there to decide how far up I want glue. And I use a little bit more glue this time around because we're just gluing it in 2 spots. Okay, so there you've got your base. Now I've got a cutout of the greenhouse already, and I'm going to pull a piece of scrap paper in, and we're going to stamp on that with Pear Pizzazz on the soft Seafoam. I've been liking the soft Seafoam a lot lately. We're going to stamp that towards the bottom of the greenhouse so we have room for our flowers. There we go. And we're going to pull in our flower colors. I'm going to start with the Flirty Flamingo. And I'm just doing the flower that you can actually see it right here. It leaves a spot for it for you to stamp in. And that's Rich Razzleberry. And we've got Bermuda Bay. And last but not least, we've got Bumblebee, and I'm going to do 2 Bumblebee flowers. All right, so we've got those all done. Let's get them out of the way. And now I've cut a piece of the greenhouse out of our vellum. And I am going to actually put some soft Seafoam on top with the blending brush. Just to give it a little bit more of the greenhouse effect. You can keep going over it as many times as you'd like. But it's just a light shade of green. It is the soft Seafoam, so it's not super dark. But that's okay, that's what I wanted. Now we are going to take the intricate die of the greenhouse dies, and we are going to cut it out of basic gray. And on the last video I used the adhesive sheets on the back. I found that with the vellum, it doesn't stick to the vellum 100% as much as I liked it to, so I decided to skip the adhesive sheet and just glue it on, and that seemed to work good. So I am going to run it through the die cut and emboss machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so a bunch of my pieces fell out already, but not all of them. This is the die brush, just takes out all the extra little pieces. This is an old retired one, but they do have one now that fits on the end of your take your pick tool. On the end there, with it looks similar like this. But I like using the ends of my take your pick tool that I already have and don't want to switch them all the time, and I have this one, so I'd rather spend my money on stamps and dies. Okay, so there we've got the intricate greenhouse. So I am just going to put glue on the little bits that stick out. And I'm gonna avoid that top bit because that's gonna be in the air and that doesn't actually attach to the underneath greenhouse piece. So I'm not gonna do any of this up here. And if I can figure out how to speed this up when I'm editing it, I will. But this is all new to me, this videoing, so if I don't figure it out, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to watch it or fast forward through it yourself. And I probably should have done this before I did my stamping, that way I could let it sit and have a little bit more time to dry. But of course I didn't think of that. So I'm just gonna set this aside and let that dry a little bit. When I use glue on intricate stuff like that, I like to let it dry till it's tacky. That way, if there's any little bit too much or anything that wants to ooze, it will not ooze because it has gotten tacky. So with the fine tip, you don't end up with big chunks, but it's still always nice just to wait a little bit and let it get tacky. So we're going to stamp on the inside, or in this case, kind of our back piece of our envelope. And in the back of this one, I didn't do the yellow flowers, but I think I am going to add some yellow flowers just to make it a little more cheery. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna bring our vellum back in here and set this down on top of, I'm gonna use a piece of scrap paper in case I get any glue where I don't want it. You see, I have a little bit of glue stuck in between there that I don't want. Okay, so I'm just putting some pressure on there, making sure it's fastened to the vellum good. And we get to do it all over again with the glue on all the little bits that aren't going to show, because vellum, if you get vellum glue on the vellum where it shows, you will see it through the vellum. I borrowed this bundle from one of my stamp customers. She wanted to use it for her workshop, and she asked me if I had the garden greenhouse bundle, and I told her I didn't, so she asked if I would borrow hers and make cards for her workshop with it. So I did, and I just asked her if I could borrow it a little bit longer to get my videos made, and she said that was fine. So thanks, Karen. My customers have been encouraging me to make videos for quite a while. This is something that's kind of new and scary to me, but I know it's something that I should get into. I just find that it scares me. But sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone and do things that we don't really want to do. So I've already die cut some of the little leaves out of the dies. Here are the dies other than this one and this one. Okay, so we're going to start gluing some of these leaves on our card. that dry for a minute. And while we're letting those dry for a minute, I am going to take a piece of soft seafoam. I just don't want my doorway empty with the gray showing through, so I'm just going to put a piece on the back to make a solid green door. I kind of think this looks kind of like macadam or something, and I visualize this as in between like two buildings. My greenhouse is in between two brick buildings. Okay, we're ready to put our vellum piece on top. Okay, pressing it all down. To move these out of the way so I don't get them stuck where I don't want them. Put our greenhouse in the center. And add our little green pieces. And I need to do my little bush yet. And we're doing that in Pear Pizzazz on the soft seafoam. And it gives you a nice two-tone color there. And then we also have the little leaf tips for our bush. And I can't seem to get them to line up perfectly, so I just eyeball where I think is good and add it, and I just think it adds a nice little touch to my bushes. And there is a die to cut that out, so I will cut that out and I'll be right back. All right, so we've got that cut out. We're gonna glue on the back of it. Put it about there. And then we're going to put our other little leaf on. And we are going to glue on our back piece. It's where you want to write your greeting, or if you want to stamp happy birthday or whatever you want to make your card. I want to leave it blank till I know what I want it to be. Or, you know, there's not a lot of room. You don't have to stamp a greeting at all. You can just write whatever you want. So, let's stamp our envelope here quickly. And since we added the little yellow flowers to our back side, I'm going to add them to the envelope as well. And there you've got a bridge fold card that fits flat and mails in the envelope just fine. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to order anything online, you can go to tarasyoc.stampinup.net, and that's tarasyoc, SCYOC.stampinup.net. Thanks. Catch you later.